and he won 6 MVPs. He never asked any of those guys to do anything he wasn't doing. And I love the one big money quote last night, Shannon, was that he said, my mentality was to go out and win at any cost. And if you don't want to live with that regimented mentality, then you don't need to be alongside me. He was basically saying it's my way or the highway. And he wanted you to get to the same level that he was. And if you don't get to the same level, he said, it's going to be hell for you. And it was hell for a lot of those guys, especially Scott Burrell. And the upside of it was, the upshot was, as Bill Winnington said, you know what? It worked. It did. It was incredibly effective to me in a very powerful way that I don't see Tom Brady lead that way. I never saw Magic lead that way. I definitely don't see LeBron lead that way. This was Michael's way. There's only one Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and he motivated by fear. And I love the Judd Buechler quote about fear. He said that the fear was palpable, that you could feel it on our practice floor, and you could feel it when he stepped on the floor from opponents. They feared Michael Jordan. He instilled it. He created it. He lived off motivating by fear and winning by fear because he was the baddest man who ever walked onto a basketball court.
See, Skip, there's the thing. Magic won. But see, for you, you think this is the only way and the ends justify the means. First, I got a couple of issues with points that you made. You said it took him a while to take over the team. After that very first practice, it was said in the documentary, Michael Jordan was the leader of that basketball team. So this notion that it took him till 1991 and he got there in 94, it took him all that time to take over, Skip Bayless. You know that was not the case. The moment he set foot in Chicago and they scrimmaged, Michael Jordan was the new de facto leader of that ball club. He said he wanted to try to get Scotty Burrell to fight him in a good way. What is there a good way to fight, Skip? That's me. Picking a fight with a guy on the basketball team to say, football team that says, you know what? I'm trying to toughen him up. Skip, for real? And he said something, well, I'm trying to get you on my level. Well, that might explains why he can't pick players, because he's thinking he's getting the guys on their level and nobody's ever going to get to his level. So we got to stop this notion, Skip. See, what's happening with you is that we have a saying in our community, Skip, says, be careful of falling in love with someone's gift. Someone that can act, someone that can dance, someone that can sing, can play basketball. We look at that and they do that so well. We're all willing to overlook all the other flaws. Skip, he's a very flawed. This is bullying. But you said because they won 6, it's okay. No, it's not. That's my only thing. Skip, and a lot of play was said last week, Skip. I said when he did that to Horace Grant, I said, Skip, I'd have had to fight Mike. Skip, I would not have fought Mike because I think he's a bad person. I would not have fought Mike because I think his leadership style. I would have fought him to gain his respect. And if you notice, he had respect for people that stood up to him. And if you didn't, he was going to keep going and going and going. He's the type of guy, like you said, you give him an inch, he's going a mile. Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it. You took that inch, as far as it goes, okay, and then we're going to be done with it. That's all I'm saying, Skip. Be careful. You do this a lot. With Tom Brady, you will find no fault. But with come LeBron, woo, be careful with falling in love with someone's gifts. Mike was a bully. They won. His leadership style is not for everybody. It would be very interesting to see if this style could work in today's game. It would be very interesting to see that. For me, I just believe that these guys rose to the occasion because they were they wanted to win too. They knew they were a part of something special. They were never going to get, I don't care how much he wrote them, Will Perdue and Paxson and Kerr and B.J. Armstrong was never going to get on Mike's level. But they were going to be willing to put the work in, off-season, the conditioning, to make sure that come fourth quarter, if Mike ever needed them, they were going to be in position to make plays. But we got to stop this notion. Because Mike was 6-0, 6 MVPs, 6 wins, that this is, ooh, boy, this is the right way. And the ends justify the means. Skip, I am not a believer in that notion. I believe that there are other ways that you can lead. And I understand that you can't lead everybody the same way. But this notion that him bullying, and that's what this was bullying, but this was his leadership style. Oh, it's good now we 6 for no. I will never ever agree with that because someone got bullied. And Skip, you understand how bullying works. It's someone that the 8th guy on the roster can't be the bully. It has to be someone in a leadership position. And that's what Mike was. And so for me, I have no qualms with the player. I have some issues with how he chose to go about and motivate the other players. You'll never hear me say anything about his game. Yeah, do I think LeBron's better? Yes, that's just me personally, Skip. Okay, fine. But I got no problem with the man's game. I got no problem with Michael Jordan. I have a problem with some of his leadership skills. And remember, Skip, Phil Jackson said in the piece, I had to tell Mike, camaraderie is a part of being a leader also. So you just can't whip without some type of reward. And the reward just can't come at the end of the season in titles. He did say that, right, Skip? You heard that, right?
You know,
okay.
I'm glad you brought up Phil Jackson because the more I watch, the more I think about what I saw from the inside out, the less I think of Phil Jackson's contribution to this. This was all Michael Jordan. Phil Jackson should drop to his knees every night and thank whatever God he worships up in Montana for Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He made Phil Jackson, and then Phil was able to segue right into Shaq and Kobe, who had a whole lot of Michael in him. Also driven, also got on teammates, also ridiculed teammates, also hard to live with. And Phil got to, quote-unquote, coach Jordan and Kobe / Shaquille O'Neal, simply the most powerful offensive force we've ever seen in the history of basketball. So that's what Phil got to do. And in the end, I look at, you know, what is your definition of bully? To me, a bully is a bad guy with a dark heart, with a bad heart. A bad guy who picks on people out of insecurity. He picks on people who are weaker to make him feel stronger because he's not sure about his own strength. Michael was supremely sure of his own strength, and he quote-unquote bullied, or as Steve Kerr called it last night, he bludgeoned you to make you stronger to be able to go with him in the postseason. Again, method to it. There was M.O. to it, modus operandi. He always had a plan, and he did not bully Dennis Rodman. He did not bully Scottie Pippen. But we saw what happened once Michael went to baseball, what happened to Scottie Pippen. I told you from the start, Pippen did not have anywhere near the killer will intangibles that Michael was able to bestow on him, to help teach him. And we saw Scottie Pippen in that flashpoint moment, Game 3, they were in danger of getting swept by the New York Knicks. And what did he do? Phil calls a last-second play for Tony Kukoc because he had made 6 last-second shots, walk-off shots already that season without Michael Jordan. And he calls the play for Tony, and Scottie said no, and he flat out, as Steve Kerr said, he quit on us. He went and sat down and told Jim Clemens, I'm not going in. Okay? Pete Myers, you get in, says Phil Jackson. Good for Phil. He inbounds to Kukoc, who then made the last shot and really took Pippen off a huge hook there because even though the team was devastated by it after the game, and there were many tears cried in that locker room on all parts. They said Bill Cartwright gave a tearful speech about how Scottie quit on the team, and it cannot happen again. But the point was, that's Scottie Pippen. That's the essence of who he was and who he was not. He was Robin to Batman. And once Batman left, Robin wasn't sure how to handle himself. And in the flashpoint moment, he quit. Well, Michael's not going to quit, obviously, and Michael would not have let Scottie quit in that moment. Of course, the last shot would have been called in that sequence for Michael Jordan.
And that's what Scotty's problem was, Skip. But I'm trying to figure out, why the hell is this in Michael Jordan's documentary? This is Scottie Pippen. So what the hell that got to do with Mike? Mike was not even on the team. I mean, why would you put that? Why would you put this in that? This ain't have nothing to do with The Last Dance. Okay, if you want to go back and show clips of 84, 85, 90, the struggle, what the hell does Scottie Pippen not going in the ball game has to do with this? And I don't agree with Scottie.
It showed
They asked Scottie last. Go ahead.